your own history of making very troublesome remarks, is that not the height of hypocrisy?
Well, Kipchumba Murkomen has broken his arm, so let me not answer that one.
You can answer about your hypocrisy of demanding a certain standard of another leader, one that you have failed to meet yourself.
You know, my problem with the Kipchumba Murkomen was not about Kimolena Naroro, but he said that the people who were in that committee were Kikuyus.
Correct.
Yes, and I'm a Kikuyu. So I felt insulted as well, as a Kikuyu.
And you said that he should be removed
yeah,
for that
because
reason?
he has a lofty position. I'm not a leader of
You have
majority.
A lofty position. You're an elected member of parliament. You sit in some of the most powerful committees of parliament.
Kipchumba Murkomen represents the entire Jubilee, including Kikuyus. And by his statement, I felt he's not representing Kikuyus. And I thought there's nothing wrong with him representing people of where he came from. Because he chose to be a leader from Elgeyo Marakwet before realizing he's also the leader of majority in the Senate. He is the #2 guy in the National Senate. I wish I were.
But you're going for the #1 job, and you have made equally, some would say even more disturbing remarks, some that have taken you to court, some that have forced you to apologize incessantly. So shouldn't Kenyans be even that more worried of a person like you, for instance, having such high power?
Let me tell you something. I've had 4 cases in court. 75% of them are acquitted. That's a sterling record. That is a record.
But you've also said the things that you've said, which I cannot mention on this program.
Maybe they are against your clan or religion or your chama, but they're not necessarily wrong. You may not like it, but you know, they're not necessarily wrong. Or criminal, or liberals. No.
Well, we will see, as you still have, I believe, a pending matter.
Yes.
In court.
Yes.
You have also been seen to associate rather closely with the with Team Wanjiku, whose membership has been called sketchy at best. Why? Because of the different backgrounds or checkered pasts of some of these key leaders. When people look at this group coalescing together, yourself with some of the comments you've said, and you've defended yourself as you have the former leader of the Mungiki Mainanjenga there. You have
Mainanjenga is not a member of Team Wanjiku.
Okay, but he has been standing
he appears in Team Wanjiku meetings.
All right.
But he's not a member of... I'm not saying there's anything wrong for him if he would appear there.
Hanging out.
Yeah,
you have the Nairobi governor, who himself has an equally checkered past with criminality.
You know, people cannot be what you want them to be, and you cannot draw a caricature of what a leader is. And by the way, if you do draw that, then everybody in this country will be living in Karen or Langata.
We're talking about... Hold on.
Wait a minute.
We're talking about the...
You know, I said this about Governor Sonko because I've out of the ethic.
That if you want people to have... you want certain standards. You talk about...
You want everybody to be...
Azan?
Yes. And the people who think like you. You want everybody to be a street jackets, you know, straight tie guy and, you know, whatever you call cool guys. Unfortunately.
On the contrary, we're talking about values, not what people wear.
No. Which values? You cannot be a judge of values. Even you guys in the media, you cannot be a judge of values. So you think the people of Nairobi were stupid to elect Mike Sonko as their governor?
That's not for me to say.
Yeah, exactly. So you think the people of Gatundu South, who voted for me with 93% of the vote, you think they are crazy? Or you think you are more intelligent than them?
I'm simply asking.
No, wait a minute. So you think they were hypnotized or they were under some medication, some drug that made them not see that the MP is a crook or has no values? Who is this so-called, who has got this variometer in this country? But when we now abandon our people of the slums, our hawkers, our Juakali guys, yeah? And when some people go there and we say, look, me, I want to be truthful to that woman in Nyamakema who is leaving the house every day. I want to associate myself with her values. Of course, our values stink.
Let me ask you this. There's a leadership and integrity chapter in the Constitution.
Yeah.
That requires leaders to be, neutered though it is now, it required leaders to be of a certain caliber.
Dressing according to you, and grooming of the hair.
Surely you're being quite unruly. It required leaders to uphold certain values, certain standards. This is not Anne saying, this is not the station saying,
who is it?
This is the Constitution,
yes.
The Constitution of Kenya.
Yes.
I'm simply asking, do you believe that the leadership of Team Wanjiku matches that standard? You can say yes, you can say no.
Of course it does, but of course to the fish fingers and Uber types like you will never see it that way. You know, but anyway, yes, we do fit into that whole level.
So you have For instance, you've made apologies in the past about...
You've never apologized, I'm sure.
Would you let me ask my question? Would you let me ask my question? You've made apologies and concessions in the past that perhaps some of the things you said were not the right things to say.
For example?
There are things that unfortunately I cannot mention on this program.
You see, me, I follow my conscience, Anne. Eh?
My point being...
And my conscience is my boss, yeah? As a human being, as a leader, and as a Christian. My conscience is my boss. Should I feel even now, after this show, that maybe I shouldn't have answered that question that way, and I feel I need to call you, I'll apologize. I'm man enough to do that. Yeah? This country is... The problem in this country is people who do not apologize. People who don't have a post-event meeting with their conscience. Yeah? And ask themselves, is that the way I should have said something? That's the most... I'm human. And I make mistakes.
So it's fair, to conclude that matter, it's fair to say that perhaps these leaders have also made mistakes and...
all of us have...
Okay. Okay, fair enough.
Have seen
but not all of us are running
fallen short of the glory of God.
That's true, but not all of us are running for public office or for the presidency.
Yes.
And so they're held to a higher standard.
Yes, and for those who do not sin, let them cast the first stone.
Do you believe you should be held to a higher standard now that you're running for the top seat?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely, I should be. But that high standard is not the standard of some people who think people should be of a certain prototype. People of Korogocho and people of Kiandutu in Dika also have got their own higher standard. It's not just Karen people and Mudaika and no, because not that, because when people talk about values and quality of leaders in this country, they have got a certain assumption near the back of their mind that this so-called coolness, it is what is going to drive this country forward.
So what?
Coolness.
Coolness.
Yeah. People of this country are not going to eat coolness.
But we're not talking about cool here, Moses.
Nobody is going to eat coolness. People want real solutions.
And that's true, but nobody talked about being cool. We talked about, you know, how do you refer...
No, because when we talk about, for example, my colleague Sonko, just show me one area where Sonko has lacked values. What makes you think that Sonko would lack values?
I didn't say he lacks values. I said he has a checkered past with criminality, which I think he said himself.
Well, does that mean that he's not qualified to be governor of Nairobi?
I'm asking a question.
Yeah?
I'm not here to answer them. I'm just here to ask them, and you've said your piece. Let's move on.
We need to put all Nairobi voters to a psychiatric test in that case.
I think they do that to themselves on Twitter every so often. I'm sure you've seen the
Nairobi is a lot on Twitter. Twitter is a pastime for lazy types of this country. But
fair enough. Let's quickly talk about the economy, which you've talked about, and you've spoken passionately about disenfranchised segments of our society, people who are struggling. But because you're a Jubilee member, do you think there's a notion right now that of all the things that Jubilee has possibly gotten wrong over the last few years, that economy has been a real failure? They haven't created the jobs that were promised.